Good afternoon, everybody. We are here for a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Cape May, New Jersey. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. Today is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. The time is now 2:03. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and the city bulletin board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Here.
Councilmember McDade?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer?
Here.
Mayor Mullock?
Here.
Councilmember Yeager?
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz?
Here.
City Manager Dietrich?
Here.
And Deputy City Clerk Turner.
Here.
All right, there's one resolution on the special meeting agenda, Council. It's 178-06-2024, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12. This is to discuss the fire chief contract negotiations, the deputy fire chief contract negotiations, police chief contract negotiations, and a shared services agreement with the Cape May City Elementary School for playground improvements.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullock?
Yes.
And public portion, Mayor?
Anyone wishing to speak on this? Seeing no one, we'll close public comment and go into closed session. The time is now 2:05.
I got sand in my silent button. Couldn't turn it off.
inside, and like, we got it, and they go right to work. When you land public conference up there, they'll come in, and as soon as they bring them in, you'll be right to a CT. It's like a set of work right now. It's really impressive. Yes. As soon as they, close session. Yep. Well, they can every 2 weeks, when they're target, you know that, right? They're target. Up there in the ring, the same thing, like they're target. So Rob Sheen, the same thing, they're target. Some of them, I mean, my contract's on each end, so I'll be here for this one, but it's, you know, a 3-hour meeting is just painful. I think a campaign, I feel like that 3-hour meetings anymore, or like, yeah, which is perfect. You have no problem with 10 minutes.
If they do their work outside of the meeting,
Yeah.
they should be able to come in and get it all on their way home.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but
That's a great solution Zach came up with. I just saw Chief Coulter here just a second ago. What's that?
They both were.
Oh, were they?
Yep.
Well, good. At least I get it.
resolution on it, right? So that's the last piece of the puzzle that we're gonna apply there. I could make, but Nicole's she's a lot more.
I can explain it
And we have
when we get to it, and they've verbally approved. It'll be updated to reflect that, so, yeah. And I'll explain now it's gonna work. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize. We were coming out of a closed session and had a couple housekeeping things to do before we get started here. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. We are coming out of a closed session, which we need to close at this point. City Solicitor, do you want to give us an update on the additions that we will have to our agenda?
Sure. I believe council anticipates taking formal action on the police chief's contract, fire chief's contract, deputy fire chief contract, and no official action on shared services agreement with City Elementary for playground improvements.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close the closed session?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. With that, we can open up our regular public meeting. Today, we have a city council meeting of the city of Cape May here in New Jersey. We are in the Cape May City Hall auditorium. Today is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, and the time is now 3:10. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and the City Hall Bulletin Board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Deputy Mayor Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember McDade.
Here.
Councilmember Meyer.
Here.
Mayor Mullick.
Here.
Councilmember Yeager.
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz.
Here.
City Manager Dietrich.
Here.
Deputy Manager Riggs.
Here.
And Deputy Clerk Brian.
Here.
Turner. Council, I believe we have a few additions to the agenda this evening, if you'd like me to go over them.
Yes, if you would, please.
Sure. We have Resolution 19406, 2024, a resolution approving an employment agreement between the City of Cape May and Alex Coulter, Fire Chief. 19506, 2024, resolution approving employment agreement between the City of Cape May and Michael Eck, Deputy Fire Chief. And 19606, 2024, resolution approving employment agreement between the City of Cape May and Deacon Fashall, the Chief of Police.
Do I have a motion to add those to the agenda?
I'll make the motion. Oh,
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Oh, do we need a roll call on that?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes, to
roll
add.
call, please.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes, and not an addition of a resolution, but a person in our city engineer, Vince Orlando, was not on the agenda this evening, but he has some good news to update us from the DEP from a meeting that we had yesterday. So, Vince, if you could join us.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Hit
Vince,
that
could
green
you
light for me,
hit
Vince.
the green button, or the button till it turns green.
You're going to have to bring that bad boy much closer. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. So as the mayor has indicated, we had a meeting yesterday with the DEP discuss Lafayette Street Park. And as the council knows, Lafayette Street Park has been in the making for a number of years. And I believe that we are getting ready to cross the finish line with the Green Acres application for the land swap. The good news is that yesterday we found out that the city has a $500,000 loan with DEP that's getting ready to expire if we don't act quickly.
Which is not good news in and of itself, but the DEP definitely wants to work.
Yeah, it's good news, and, it just means that we have to move quickly. So while we're not ready to go to bid on the entire Lafayette Street Park because of some of the idiosyncrasies, I thought maybe that we could phase it. And I presented to the council this evening, or this afternoon, a phasing approach that I would like you guys to consider. Obviously, Phase 1, which was old Phase 4, was the nature trail. The nature trail has been approved by the DEP. We are seeking funding for that. I'll speak to Phase 1 because in addition to the Lafayette Street Park grant loan, we do have $500,000 for a loan with the DEP for the trails. Now, the trails are going to be ready to go out to bid as soon as we decide both this application and the trails. We're hoping to get to the county for open space money. But in looking at Lafayette Street Park, we think that a good phase would be Phase 2, which would be the easterly portion of the site consisting of the softball field, the dog park, and the bocce courts. We kind of guesstimated that this number would be somewhere around the $500,000. We hate to lose that money with the DEP. That portion of the field is not affected either by the settlement agreement with JPP&L or JCP&L, whatever the acronym is, or the county land swap. This is on properties that are part of the Lot 54 in totality. So we feel it's a good break point. It's a good opportunity to secure the money, to secure the financing. And I think it moves a project that has been hampered with delays, at least does something. And while there won't be any parking associated with this, there's parking at the school. It is a walkable site, and I think at this point in time, it may be a good first phase to get out to bid, and we could get this out to bid pretty quickly because all the work has been done. We would just have to do contract documents, things of that nature, but I think that we could get this out to bid sometime in August, award a contract, and be under construction by the end of the year, securing our $500,000 with the DEP. So that's it in a nutshell. Like I said, it's good news, and
Right.
I was surprised that the money was there, but it was kind of serendipity that they presented it to us, and here we are, quickly trying to formulate a game plan.
I have just a quick question, Mayor.
Sure.
Okay. In the outline of Phase 2 has the three different pavilions that are there?
Yes.
Is that included with that? You didn't state that, but
Yeah, I'm gonna-
okay.
yeah.
So everything within that,
Everything in that Phase 2. And I haven't, this was just a concept that was developed yesterday. I haven't done a cost estimate yet on it,
okay,
but I think we should be in the ballpark.
okay.
So,
It's a
Vince,
softball field.
It's a tiny softball.
it's a softball.
Yeah.
It's a softball infield. It's not really a,
No, you said in the ballpark, and we said it was a softball field.
in
That
the
that was,
ballpark.
I knew we didn't get it.
Right over my head.
I know, that's why I could tell you were trying, yeah. So Vince, you talking about the Phase 2 that you think that can be under construction by the end of the year. Does the same, would the nature trails fall into, would it be
Yes.
1 and 2 together?
So
Good quickly?
that's our
Okay.
game plan to
All right.
bid out 1 and 2. I spoke with the county today, and we currently have a pending application for the Harbor View Park with open space. That is going to be heard in July. My game plan would be to get both these applications in to the county for the nature trail and the Phase 2 of the Lafayette for funding from the county. And that, we would get those applications. And I kind of like breaking it apart too a little bit because, I really think it shows that we're trying to move ahead, and there's been a lot of anticipation from the public on this. So, and one of the things I do like is that during the construction of Lafayette Park, we would lose the dog park. So this is a good opportunity to put the dog park in and not miss a beat
Right.
for that portion
Because
of
it's
the
used,
residents.
it's highly used.
a lot.
Yeah. So I think that's just another bonus, and it allows us to use the $500,000 in park development on this phase, the $500,000 in DEP funding for the nature trails in this phase, and then hopefully some county open space funds to cover the rest. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
I think that's great. I mean, to be able to start something at Lafayette Street Park, plus the nature trails, which I think is really going to be a home run when they're completed. That's, the fact that we have the DEP approval for both of those items is a big portion of the park.
and the good news is that this portion of the park doesn't need a CAFR permit because it's greater than 150 feet from the mean high water. It doesn't entail the parking so it doesn't exceed the 50 parking spaces. So it could be done quite quickly. And at the end of the day, it's really soft construction. It's really very little hard construction.
Right.
When it comes to impervious covers, we got a couple of pavilions, a little concrete walkway around the bocce court, and other than that, it's a softscape, so.
And what we'd really be asking then is authorization for Vince to go out to bid, to prepare the plans and specs and to go out to bid for the project. So you could do a motion vote tonight, and then we would follow it up with a formal written resolution at our next meeting. But at least we'd have the vote tonight so that Vince can move forward with getting that together.
That's, and I know one of the reasons too is getting this before the Open Space Board as soon as possible, which would be great. Do I have phrase them?
So we need a motion for Vince to prepare the plans and specs to go out to bid for the project and also make the application to the County Open Space Board for the park. I think that's already been sitting there, but I think we need a separate resolution for a new application to the County Open Space, just so that we have it formalized at this point. So it's two separate resolutions and
One would be for the trails, the nature trail, and one would be for
Phase,
the.
Phase 2.
Phase 2.
Which is the Lafayette Street Park.
Okay.
I'd like to make that motion, Mayor.
Please, and Shane, in making that motion, I want to say thank you. How many years have you been working on Lafayette Street Park?
More than 9 years.
Yeah.
Or, I've been here for 9 years, so it's been longer than that.
So, so it's an honor to hear you make that motion, Shane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Just to clarify, this is for authorization for Phase 1, and we're going to do Phase 2 separately? Separate motion? Okay, thank you. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
And may I make the motion for Phase 2, please?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. Great news, Vince.
Thank you.
Good news.
Good luck with county open space, and thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you. And the nature trails really, I think, is going to be such a beautiful thing, obviously for the citizens of Cape May, but for those who don't know, there'll be an entrance from the park itself, which is coming from the parking lot. The second entrance will be at the back of the school. Of course, that'll have a gate that'll be locked in multiple places from the school. But I mean, for our school children to be able to be outside, learn about the environment, and learn about the marshes right in their backyard of the school, I just think is really such a cool thing. And so that was a major approval from the DEP. We're obviously excited. With that, I'm going to actually give our proclamation, if you don't mind. This month, we are recognizing the Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and I have a proclamation to read. Whereas Alzheimer's is a brain disease that causes a slow decline in memory, thinking, and reasoning skills, and whereas worldwide 55 million people are living with Alzheimer's and other dementias, and whereas the Alzheimer's Association reports that more than 6 million Americans are either living with Alzheimer's disease or providing care for someone with Alzheimer's. And whereas the City of Cape May urges residents and visitors to become familiar with the 10 primary warning signs of Alzheimer's or dementias, which include memory loss that disrupts daily life, challenges in planning or solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks, confusion with time or place, trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships, new problems with words in speaking or writing, misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps, decreased or poor judgment, withdrawal from work or social activities. And whereas the City of Cape May further encourages residents and visitors to incorporate healthy habits in their daily lives to promote brain health, such as challenging your mind, exercising, wearing a helmet, managing weight and diseases, eating healthier meals, and getting more sleep. Now, therefore, I, Zachary Mullock, Mayor of the City of Cape May, recognize June as Alzheimer's and Brain Health Awareness Month and encourage all residents and visitors to wear purple throughout the month of June to raise awareness to lend support to those affected by Alzheimer's and other dementias. Thank you very much. With that, can we please have an update, City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to update Camp Cape May started yesterday. So if you've been by Kiwanis Park, you've seen a large group of youth running around, playing, and having a lot of fun. We have 134 youth attending this year, and that program runs through middle of August, and they're looking to have a great time on the new park area that we've gotten for them. So just wanted to remind everybody, if you're in and around that area, please drive slowly because there are some extra children darting around. Hopefully they're all going to stay in the park, but you never know where they may end up at. Next, I wanted to bring up, so we had awarded the digital beach tags. It's been probably about maybe a month and a half since you've awarded that. We've gone through the technical aspects of it. We've been going through some training over the last 2 weeks with staff, and we think that we're ready to roll this out. So we're anticipating rolling it out for this coming weekend to rolling out digital beach tags. How the program will look, there's kind of two options that residents and visitors will be able to do. For a pure digital tag, you'll be able to buy a daily tag. So you'll be able to make a reservation, kind of like what when you think about it, it's like making a dinner reservation. You're going on to a website, you're making a reservation for the day, how many passes you're needing, and it'll be available on your phone. You show the beach tag attendants, and they'll have a moving, flashing email and screen, and you'll be able to show that pass to get on for the daily pass. You'll also be able to buy a physical pass through this procedure, kind of like how the old Viply would be. So if you want a physical tag, whether it's a daily, weekly, 3-day, or a seasonal tag, and then you could go pick those up at any of the 4 kiosks. So that way, if you don't have cash with you, you come up there, you can essentially pay, scan a QR code and pay with a credit card, and then get your physical tags, and then go and enjoy the beach as you normally would. So we're looking to roll that out. We're going to put information on social media or website. All the beach taggers will have little postcards with information. We'll have big scannable QR codes at the kiosks to be able to scan it right there and make the purchases, but we're looking to roll that out this weekend. Regarding beach tags, looks like for last week, money was up sales were generally down except for dailies. The daily sales, compared to last year, were up, but all the other tag sales were kind of flat or down. But we did see, I think, an increase of about $23,000 over last year in revenue. The other thing, with the kind of the transition of the closing of the old library and the opening of the new library, we're having a lot of transition of parking. Both that parking lot at the old library, it's not a lot of spots, but they are spots. There's going to be a lot of people in and possibly the library wanting to use the city lot. A lot of people try to use the lot after hours, and I think it might be time to possibly do some Park Mobile signage and start adding both of those lots into a pay situation for certain time periods. Obviously, City Hall, people are going to come in and do city business, so I don't think maybe during the day necessarily, but I think periods of off hours, weekends, to kind of make this city parking lot available for parking when there is a need for parking in the city. People drive by, they see an empty parking lot. It doesn't make sense not to utilize that for the public. So I just didn't know how council felt, if you felt that we should, I can work with staff, we can prepare an ordinance to kind of add that into our paid parking lots to move forward.
Only be along the front end parking, not where the fire, not in that small lot. When you come in,
Correct.
it's on the right-hand side.
Correct, yeah, we would always have, and obviously, if you have a city tag for city business,
Sure.
a city hang tag, we're not,
But are you proposing just in the larger section?
the larger, the
Okay.
main lot, yes.
Obviously, there's probably some people who drove here this evening that might not want to pay to go to a very quick council meeting, but how about exceptions like that? I mean,
Well, and we have
planning
exceptions
board
for this, we have planning and zoning board meetings, so,
Right.
we would probably work in language to exempt out, days and evenings where there are public meetings, and that would just be really coordination with parking enforcement to know that, hey, this is, and signage to figure out. And that's one reason I've been trying to figure out that, but I just want to, I want to find out is the concept open to you? Because I know there's some nuances that we have to figure out, but is that concept open from council that if we prepare an ordinance, that's something that you feel acceptable?
Does Park Mobile have a map showing Park Mobile locations?
Yes.
I mean, the one thing that I like about that is making sure people know that, yeah, you can park here, I think a lot of people don't understand that, especially at nighttime, that this is available, people can park here.
There's even a couple, I'll say, private businesses that in their off hours have put up Park Mobile in their parking lots so that instead of paying an attendant to kind of be in the lot to either pay for parking or to shoo people away, I've seen some private lots pull up in their off hours, have timed parking, and kind of the same thing, that's kind of the advantage of Park Mobile, that person would get a notice, hey, parking ends at 3 o'clock, you can't extend it, so come move your car.
Right.
So
So
it does have
perhaps
those advantages.
maybe consider initially weekends.
Yes.
Because we know that there are, no city meetings, but at least starting it on Friday at 3, running through to Monday morning or something like that. That way, we could take a look at it and figure
Yep.
out whether or not it's, what the value proposition is. So I would ask if we could just
Sure.
do that to start,
That's-
and let's see.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, especially because it would limit the confusion, and if, some of our volunteers who happen to be senior citizens can't park in our parking lot and have to walk, and they're late to our zoning board meeting, I think that's just unfair to our volunteers.
If we start with the weekends, I think it gives us a good sense of utilization and whether or not we want to expand it. And then how complex it would be around city functions on those certain nights. It could get a little confusing. So I'd like to see us just start with that for now.
And because, I know at last council meeting, there were certain people, I think even some of the council members were having trouble finding parking. Internally, we've been working with our staff to make sure that they all have hang tags and the appropriate signage. And then we're going to be working with Chief Ashall and parking enforcement to start doing a little more enforcement so that there is available parking, because there are people, I'll say, in the neighborhood that are using our parking lot, and they're not coming in for official business, but using it as a convenient parking spot. So it is something that we're working on and looking to start enforcement.
Just, I mean, is there any way we can designate a couple of parking spots for people to pull in for official business? And it's like a 10-minute, it can actually help.
The problem,
Chief.
I mean, there's a balance. Yes, we can, but with the library opening, and it's finding and really recognizing who is that person. We really don't even have enough. We barely have enough parking for city staff in the parking lot. So it does, it makes it hard. That we barely have enough for city staff. That if we start, once we when we added the 4 EV spaces, it kind of took away from that ability to put, I'll say, 2 spaces dedicated for official business, but it's still hard to.
I was going to say, it's very challenging. You'd have to be out there, an attendant looking and sort of saying, wait, I saw this car 20 minutes ago and they're still here, and then where are they? Are they, so.
Do you, City Manager Dietrich, do you go through the repaving of the parking lot as part of this presentation, or?
I don't have a plan for it, but it is going in part of my discussion that we are going to be picking.
I don't want to
Yeah, I'll
steal your thunder.
actually, it's your thunder, but I was going to cover that, yes.
Okay, good.
That's all I had, thank you.
Okay. City Solicitor?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Capital Projects Presentation. Back to you.
Thank you. We've started the bond process, so here's our capital budget timeline, and I will be putting this full presentation on our construction projects page, as well as updating all of the different projects with some of the plans that we've got rolling in over here the last couple weeks. So, we introduced, first we really just want to detail this, that the public involvement and the public outreach that we're doing for all these different projects, that it's not in a vacuum, and there's a lot of public discussion regarding these. So I discussed a lot of these projects back on May 21st before we presented it to council. At the last meeting, you introduced a set of bond ordinances. We're here this evening to kind of go over a lot of the projects kind of a little more in detail, showing plans and some of our estimates that we have available for them. We're looking for, on July 2nd, to have the public hearing and possible adoption of the ordinance. And then if approved on July 22nd, they'll be ready to move forward after that 20-day estoppel period after the date of publication of the approved ordinances. Here's some of our final numbers as far as what's going into the different bonds. We have a little over $9.8 million in the capital bond. We did fund 1.1 in our capital budget. We already have that approved, so we're kind of already getting quotes and starting some of those projects. We have 1.8 million in water and sewer capital bond, and then another 1.4 in beach capital. We have some future projects that I'm just going to touch on probably here this evening, just to kind of keep the public aware of them, but they're not included in any of the bonding that we're proposing right now, but we may come back in early 2025 to get funding for those projects. Here's this kind of the similar summary that I kind of distributed last meeting. This kind of summarizes the projects that are in each of the different programs. For the capital bond, these are some of the road projects that we're including. Some of them we're getting from USDA grants. Some of them we're doing internally with some of our own this capital money. But Ohio, Stockton, Washington, and Idaho, those are all part of a USDA project where we're looking to receive monies for the sewer replacement. The water line replacement, and this is part of our lead. Most of those streets all have lead sewer line. After we complete those projects, we will only have 17 lead service connections left in the city to do. So we will be well ahead of what the requirements are. We're kind of in a unique thing. We've done so much lead replacement this year, or I'll say in the 2024 year, since we're not really doing a project. We have to report that we have a 0 this year, which is, Rob's trying to figure out how he's going to discussed that the state is looking for a phased-in approach and looking for numbers each year, and he's hoping that this year that we report 0, that we're not going to get flagged. We're looking at Franklin Street streetscape, doing a whole refurbishment of Franklin Street. It's going to tie into the City Hall parking lot and revising that. Walking with the draft plans out with the mayor, we looked at doing a kind of a revamping of an area, and we're going to add, I think we're getting about 8 new additional parking spaces kind of up along the face of the rear Acme parking lot along that side. So looking to add 8 parking spots that we vitally need in this complex area with the new library and City Hall. And then obviously we're doing some repair of Claghorn and Capehart Lane to fix some drainage problems that is within this project that will get done in the fall. Most of these projects were, it's in the capital bond, but I just make a note, there's monies going towards these projects in the capital bond, the municipal bond, but also out of the water sewer bond, because we're obviously trying to replace water and sewer infrastructure when we do these projects. We will be doing a separate, this year, a sidewalk restoration project, separate from our road project, but looking at some of our sidewalk areas, trying to concentrate in downtown more areas of, whether it's sidewalks that are kind of uneven because we have some street tree areas or just some of our old slate sidewalks or brick sidewalks, and resetting those areas. So we'll be doing and identifying sidewalk areas that are specific sidewalk driven, and just be looking at them. We've received 2 NJTOT grants on Ohio Avenue. So we are trying to couple a lot, besides USDA grants, getting some of the DOT grants to extend our, where we can. And obviously we're prioritizing streets with lead service and poor sewer mains. Here's a kind of a brief snapshot of Franklin Street. I know that there was a lot of concerns, especially at Shade Tree, when they saw some of the initial concepts of Franklin Street. But essentially that's going to be looking at replacing the concrete sidewalks with brick sidewalk, adding gas lanterns. We're planting 5 shade trees along there. Only going to have to probably remove 1 tree that kind of got accidentally hit in construction over the past year. But we're adding additional street trees on there and adding some crosswalks. And I think it'll be a great fitting beautification along Franklin Street.
Can I just say again, thank you to Councilman Meyer on the Shade Tree Commission. The trees that I've seen around town, the plantings this year really were very nice. So I look forward to seeing that on Franklin.
Yes. So that's where I just wanted to kind of present that, because I know there were some questions when some of the concept sketch came out. They were concerned about some of the shade tree and how the shade tree, not shown on there, but we will be, depending on when we receive approval for the demolition of the building next to the AME Church, that we're looking to put in a parking lot in there, which will also add about 9 or 11 spaces, depending on how the addition looks, the potential addition to the rear of the AME Church. Lafayette Street, we kind of got an update from Vince on that, but this is, we have funding in our capital bond for both the main part of the park and the nature trails, because obviously, Vince mentioned that we're receiving a $500,000 loan, but, the nature trails project is a $2.6 million project by itself. So we're looking to kind of apply for county open space money, use the Green Acres money as the match money, and try to get that project all completed starting this fall. So we're excited to move that forward. Again, here's this was for the public didn't get to see that this was part of the plan. This is the main plan for the nature trails. It's going to extend out into the wetlands. We have all of our permits for this. We have the DEP necessary permits for the wetlands. So really it's just once we finalize funding for that, we'll be able to move this project forward. It does connect, essentially it shows connecting from St. John Street through the nature trail, and then it will have interconnection into when Lafayette Street Park gets constructed, as well as over to the elementary school. There will be a separate gate at the elementary school to kind of control access in and out, so they can kind of open it up so that the children can kind of use that as the back way into the school instead of using and walking along Lafayette Street Park, but that'll probably be closed once school gets opened up. Again, doesn't show the phasing that the plan that Vince showed us this evening, but it does show the layout of Lafayette Street Park, and then on the corner of St. John and Lafayette, it does show the future police station location. Next set, we did receive a small cities grant of $270,000 for ADA improvements at the tennis club. That is a city property, and therefore we're funding, not improvements to the tennis courts or the tennis facilities themselves, but the ADA improvements in and around that facility so that we are in compliance with the ADA regulations. So we have a total project budget of $370,000 for that project. The other project we're looking at starting up is a retaining wall, resiliency wall, kind of running from the bridge over on Elmira Street, back along the back side of the substation, and then along the back side of Bank Street parking lot to kind of, that's probably one of our major locations where we get a lot of nuisance flooding routinely. Besides that, in Yacht Avenue, that's where a lot of our flooding occurs. So we're looking at starting, what's in the bond this year is just really the funding for to get the engineering and permitting, and then we'll be able to develop a final budget cost for that project. And most likely what we would be doing is applying for FEMA mitigation money for that project to help offset any of our capital costs. So here's kind of the layout that we use for the ADA improvements at the park, just kind of shows some of the paths and locations, getting some of the ramps up to their gazebo in the back, adding an ADA bathroom location, getting a ramp up onto their back porch in different locations so that that facility is ADA compliant. And this kind of shows that location that I described as far as that resiliency action to over off of Elmira and Bank Street. Well, it's not, I hated using wall. It's not really a wall. It's most likely going to be revetment and a combination of stone structure and earthen berm, probably more natural in most places. If there's, it's ironic that the DEP and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, where sometimes you want to build natural solutions, but then natural solutions take up width to build it and stuff like that, and then that covers more wetland area. And so sometimes they rather almost you build a bulkheaded physical wall as opposed to building something natural, because it, sometimes you have to lose some habitat to create a different habitat, and they're not flexible sometimes. So it may end up being a wall, but I don't want to call it a wall, because that, I think, has a connotation that's not as aesthetic or enhancing to the natural area. But we'll look at it. We have some equipment purchases. We're looking at, we received electric RGI grants for to buy some electric vehicles. So we're looking at, right now we have the jitneys going around town, but we're looking at possibly using electronic trolleys and looking at that. So we're looking at doing that. And then we also have the replacement of our the fire truck. Our ladder truck has some age and hours on it, and over the last 3 years, the annual maintenance costs have jumped from $10,000 to almost $17,000 in 2023, and we're projected to hit $30,000 in repairs this year. So the cost, our maintenance costs are just, it needs a lot of work, and in order to keep it road serviceable. So it is time to replace that fire truck, and so we're really hoping to get that moved forward. So that's just kind of, I know it's a bad picture of the fire truck, but that's kind of the what they're looking at, and those are the, we're trying to get an actual trolley looking vehicle. It's going to be a lower capacity, kind of what a non-CDL type of a vehicle so that we're not required to have CDL drivers and be a little more flexible for that. Promenade rehabilitation, obviously we've got a $6.7 million grant from the state. We're looking at, we have a $700,000 match that we have to have. I think at the last meeting, we awarded the consulting to start the design and permitting for phase 1 and 2, so we'll continue with that. And then obviously we have to pay for some an existing beach fill and some future beach fills, so we're going to be funding those projects. The police building, this is kind of the future. We've got a $5 million bonded already. We have HPC, and we've submitted the SHPO. That building, we're kind of also waiting for the Green Acres diversion and the JCP&L, which I think we've had some good meetings over the last, between yesterday and the last 2 weeks, had some good information on both of those they're both moving with some movement as opposed to just sitting stagnant for years. And then also we're looking at, having some consultants reevaluate the water tower repainting. So here's some of the schematics that's approved from the HPC of the elevations of the police building. That's been approved. It's gone through several subcommittee reviews as well as probably a half a dozen review committees at HPC, and we had final HPC approval several months ago. And the architect's here for this project, and that's kind of the layout. It's a lot of footprint, but what I think everybody forgets is we have a footprint here in City Hall, but what the footprint that nobody really sees is the footprint that we have over in another municipality in West Cape May for our substation. So, you kind of have the command structure in one location, all of our patrol staff is located in another location, and this will bring everybody under one roof in one house. And, I think it's time for this. So I think we'll be moving that forward as, throughout the rest of this year and hopefully put this out to bid this fall or maybe early spring. And that's what we have for projects. So I just wanted to, I know I asked, Vince kind of gave his update on Lafayette Street Park because he had a prior meeting, but we do have Rob Conley, architects here, so just in case we had any questions regarding the police station. So if you have any questions on those projects or not, we can go through them. But I just wanted to kind of go through all those projects that we're looking so that council was aware of all the different projects that were in the bonds in a little more detail, as well as more importantly for the public to see a little more detail for all the projects that we're looking to. And these are all projects that we're hoping to get kicked off the ground and moving this year. So, we've been busy the last couple of years. We're not looking to slow down. We're going to keep moving forward.
That's great. Thank you very much, Paul. Any questions, council?
I just have a comment for the manager. When it comes to the painting of the water tower, I think it's important to consider moving the letters up another foot or so, or half a foot, because the cell towers over the years have started to cover our,
National Historic
City of Cape
Landmark.
May National Historic Landmark, and I think it's important to
I'll make
make sure
sure.
that that's visible from the ground.
No problem.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Thank you very much. On the ordinances for second reading?
Yes, Mayor, we have 532-2024, an ordinance providing for the implementation of state requirements for lead-based paint inspections for certain residential rental dwelling units. And there is a public hearing tonight, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 532, 2024? This is on the lead-based paint inspections, 532. Seeing none, we can close public comment. I want to first say thank you to Maureen McDade, Councilwoman, for helping chair the subcommittee with Bill Becerra and Deputy Mayor, pardon me, and Deputy Mayor, and our planning chairperson, Bill Becerra, and former Mayor Ed Mahaney, and who else was there? Steve Bodner.
Steve Bodnar, yeah.
From MTRAC
Yeah.
and zoning.
Yep.
Aaron,
Aaron.
city clerk.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
Justin.
yeah,
a lot of
Tha-
city staff.
The
Thank-
usual
thank you.
suspects.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you for everyone getting together on this.
Yeah.
And do you want to give us a,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was a very productive meeting. We went in there understanding that we have a requirement by the state to pass this for long-term rental dwellings starting almost immediately. We also had the fire inspector was there present, who was extremely helpful and talked about the process and really what the assessment would entail. The other piece of the conversation that we really wanted to have was around short-term and how we could incorporate that, feeling that the city of Cape May wanted to take one step further on having short-term rentals. We are not including that in this ordinance this evening. We came to some discussions about looking at an implementation perhaps for 2025. It was very well received and supported by former Mayor Mahaney as well as Mr. Brazier. We just talked about the fact that we want to be able to offer accommodations in the city for visitors that are safe, regardless of the duration, and that we felt it was important to set that standard in this community, and that was well received. I don't know if the city solicitor or manager have anything to add.
Just to add to that, the practicality of the city being a visual inspection municipality means that from a practical standpoint, it's usually going to be, someone with the certification, in this case, the fire inspector going in. If there's chip paint, going to get a notice to do some sanding and painting, but that's usually 9 times out of 10 is going to be the extent of it, was the information that the fire inspector shared with us. So it's not an incredibly onerous requirement. It is another requirement to deal with, but as Councilwoman McDade said, there's all this ordinance is doing is the state minimums. Whether council considers taking another step in the direction of safety, that will be another thing that comes to the council table at some point.
And I think it's also helped to know that Mark's office, under his current fire prevention, they want to work with residents and business owners for compliance. They're not out there to penalize. They're not out there to shut people down. It's all about compliance and working together to come to the outcome. So when you look at the ordinance and it has the prescriptive time, hey, shall be done by this number of days, and also, when you really read the language, it's having that communication and working with is not that in this case you're not going to have finally painted within that time frame. It's, hey, working with Mark's office and coming up with a plan to get it done within a reasonable time period. So they're not going to be looking, as long as you're working with them, just like you work with them on the fire prevention side, he's going to look for compliance and a working relationship, not to fine people, not to shut people down over those periods of time. So I just wanted to, I think that was another discussion point that we really hit on during that meeting is as we roll this program out, is talking with our rental properties owners and so that they understand that it's going to be a process, not, I don't think it's going to be a hindrance for them. It's going to be a process that we can work together on.
And a component of this really was to provide for the most vulnerable of populations. Young children who might be in these environments under the age of 6 are extremely vulnerable to this. And regardless of the duration, it could exacerbate an already existing health condition. So I think that was really clearly a large part of our discussion in wanting to sort of have this across the board. But I think we have time to work on the short term over the course of the next, 6 months or so before it would be rolled out.
so it sounds like that ad hoc committee might be still together for a little bit.
We might have a
Might have
discussion.
to, might have to.
Good.
But I also want to let the public know as well. So these are the long-term rentals. It will be in conjunction, so you're not getting another inspection. It will be in conjunction with your fire inspection. So you won't have to make 2 calls into the fire bureau.
And I think we made it literally the state mandated minimum in cost. Is that right?
$20, that doesn't even go to the city, it goes to the state.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it does, say that again, it goes to the state, unfortunately, not to.
We're
$20.
statutorily required to charge that.
Yeah.
Per unit. $20 per unit, just so
And give
everybody
it,
knows.
and give it to the state.
All right, well, again, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councilwoman. We appreciate everyone getting together on that. Any other questions on, do we have an introduction? I'm sorry.
We don't yet, but
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? Any other questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Councilmember McDade,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And next, we have 533-2024, an ordinance amending the city code, section 713 regarding prohibited parking and 723 regarding loading zones.
Do I have a motion? Is this a public, I'm sorry.
There's a public hearing as well, if you'd like.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on 533-2024 regarding loading zones? Seeing none, we can close public comment. Council, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Councilmember McDade,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And next, council, we have the public portion on the resolutions only.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on the resolutions this evening? If you are, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia Avenue. My first question, these are just some short ones. 179, it says unclaimed bicycles and personal property. That's what's just claimed by the police, correct? There's no city furniture involved in that?
It's like lost bikes and stuff that people haven't claimed over a certain
Okay.
period of time. They always donate it every year.
Okay. And then my other question has to do with 190, the grant application for Winona. Is that just street repaving? I wasn't sure from the resolution
Yeah,
what that
that-
included.
I mean, the grant is for street rehabilitation, but we'll do drainage improvements and other necessity work for
Okay,
that.
I guess why I was asking that, because it was kind of with safe schools, and I wasn't sure if there was something else going on with that road.
No, it's just a road rehabilitation grant.
And then you added you added the contract for the fire police chief, the police chief, and the deputy fire chief you added their contracts. Since we weren't able to read them, is it possible to know what their percentage increase was and what their new salaries will be?
Yeah.
Should we do that? I mean, let's do that.
Public knowledge.
Let's,
Yeah, I think
let's bring it up and then answer that question.
well, I mean, that can be answered when we go to the vote. I thought that you were going to do these one by one. So do you want
They will be voted on separately in the regular agenda, not on the consent agenda.
But, I mean, because sometimes I ask these questions and you say you're going to talk about it later, but I don't usually get the answer. That's why I was-
We have to talk about it because we have to vote on it. So
So then at that time, you'll say what their percentage increase was and what their new salaries are?
We'll say what's in the memorandum of agreement that they're going to be voting on.
Okay, so we'll get to what their new salaries
I
are.
don't want to eat into your public comment. We're going to talk about this.
Okay, I'm just making sure, because this is my turn to ask questions, and I'm not getting my question answered. That's why I'm
I'm
asking.
telling you, your question's going to get answered when we get to them.
Okay. And then my next question has to do with Resolution 181, and it has to do with the change order for Kiwanis Park restrooms. I guess my question is, do you have the Promenade restroom change order on here also? And I was confused because I thought the Promenade restrooms were being funded by the beach utility, and I don't understand why that would be included in the same change order as the Kiwanis Park bathroom.
Hold on a second.
But shouldn't it be two different change orders and two different resolutions if they're being funded by two different funds?
Hang on a second, let me. I'm trying to see where it says Promenade, because this is for just work at
It says the
Kiwanis.
Promenade Avenue restroom supply and install water bottle refilling station and supply cost of $44,000 and install 2 project signs, but that's,
Mr. Dietrich,
Oh, it's,
incorporates 418140.
Into the total sum of the 29,806. So could we make an amendment rather than holding this up, indicating that that particular
Yeah, that one should,
dollars will
yeah,
be
that should have been pulled out, and
Okay.
that should be,
just
well,
attributed to the
that-
beach utility?
that 3636 should, or the 418140 should be,
Attributed to beach utility.
yes.
Can we
Okay.
make that as an amendment so this resolution can be passed in
We
totality?
could, I mean, we can do it at the same change order, but we could just note that, and when we'll change the certification of funds to note that it's going to come out of the two different line items.
Right, because that'll be another, I guess, change order number one for the
We'll just do it under,
We'll
just do it
city
on-
restrooms?
we'll just do it under
the
this
promenade?
change order, but we'll just denote it on the two different line items when it
Okay.
gets paid.
But is there any other change orders, I guess, then for the Promenade Avenue restroom?
Not at this
So this would be the first one for them also?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on resolutions this evening?
Jules Rouse, 1010 New York Avenue. If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to kind of jump a little bit out of order. We had an event June 5th at our home, and I needed to call the EMS service from our city, and it was an outstanding response, short time, great professionalism. The attention that my wife received was spectacular, frankly. But the thing, aside from the personal issue, what I'd like to make everybody known about is there's a relationship between our EMS and the Advanced Life Support Unit that operates out of the airport. That's the Atlantic Care Advanced Life Support. When there's an incident in Cape May, if they believe that the transport of a particular individual needs to be evaluated in a professional medical event beyond the capacity of the EMS, they make a contact with the Advanced Life Support Unit. And in our case, they met on the Garden State Parkway. And the Advanced Life Support team determined that, well, first of all, the EMS group determined that my wife needed to have a further evaluation before going to a particular hospital or for care. So they met on the Garden State Parkway. And the Advanced Life Support group recommended that she be taken to the Atlantic Care Trauma Unit in Atlantic City. And that was done. That's where she went. But the relationship, and this is the thing that I'd like the public to understand. I did not know about this availability to our citizens, or frankly to the citizens throughout a number of communities in South Jersey. The EMS does a great job. They coordinate and communicate with the next level that is available immediately, and that's this Atlantic Care Advanced Life Support. They notified the trauma center that Beverly was on her way, and when she got there, it was an amazing process. The shortness of time in handling the potential for a stroke or a heart victim is essential. And I don't know how you would communicate this availability to our citizens, but it is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Jules, and I think we all would say that your wife is in our prayers, and we thank you very much.
She's doing very well. She's on her rehab now.
Good,
There was no heart issue. There was no stroke, and that was the initial concern.
Yep.
But the way the EMS, and I've told Alex this, the way they communicated was outstanding. That's the key.
That's great. Good job, gentlemen. Thank you, Jules. Anyone else this evening on resolutions? Seeing none, we'll close public comment on resolutions.
Before moving on to the consent agenda, can I ask a question about the change order resolution? Will we be amending that to include Promenade Project?
I'm going to just have Kevin revise the certification of funds just to show that the two line item accounts,
Making sure that one comes from the beach.
one comes from one.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking auditors. Like, should we add the wording
We can.
just so that there's no
it's
confusion?
described in the body of the change order. If you feel that we want to change it additionally, we can.
As long as you're telling me that it's going to come out of the beach utility for the appropriate amount, then I'm fine with that. How it's written.
It's described in the body.
Yeah. Is everyone okay with that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if we need to make a change, we'll add a resolution at the next meeting. We'll talk to Kevin and the auditors, and if we need to make a formal change, we can make a formal change with an additional resolution at the next meeting.
Okay.
We're comfortable leaving that on the consent?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else to remove from the consent agenda, or anything to remove from the consent agenda?
Anything, council?
Can I get clarification on 182?
Yeah.
It's, if I may,
Excuse me?
the
Yes, how many?
the four-wheeled beach chairs, we're not buying 4 chairs. It's just describing the ADA chairs have 4 wheels. It's a poorly worded thing.
Yeah.
We're buying 12 beach chairs.
There's 12 of them.
There's
Okay.
12 of them that we're purchasing.
12 four-wheeled beach chairs.
12 four-wheel beach chairs.
Okay.
The four-wheel beach chairs, just copy it over from the quote. That's how the quote was, that's how the,
Good question.
that's how the vendor describes that object, and we just copied and pasted and really didn't think about the optics of four-wheeled, that we were buying four-wheeled
You're only
ADA
going-
chairs.
yeah.
Realizing that most ADA chairs have four-wheel, but the reason is, some of the ADA chairs have 3 wheels. Some of them have 2 in the back, 1 in the front. So that's from the vendor standpoint, it's differentiating between the 3-wheeled ADA chair and the 4-wheeled ADA chair.
Yeah, it was confusing, and I just wanted clarification. Thank you.
But they're all 2-foot powered because you push them with 2 feet. So they're, it's not 4-wheel drive, it's just 2 feet drive.
Two-wheel drive.
Swinging and missing tonight with the dad jokes.
Can I ask a question about the beach chair, since we have it up, we're talking about it? And for my sake, how can people access these chairs? What do they have to do?
So they call Beach Patrol, and they reserve them from there. There's no charge to use these beach chairs. They will deliver them to you and pick them back up. So if you're at your house, they'll get them to you. You can use them for your time period, and then you bring them back. And it's free of charge. But it's a way to get somebody that has mobility issues, and they want to get for the people that want to get down to the water's edge. These are the chairs that get you down to the water's edge.
Is this information that the beach taggers have as well?
I'm pretty. I can double check. I'm pretty sure that, and it's publicized on our website and throughout a lot of our information. But I'll make sure that the taggers have that information.
But it is a great program, and I say I've gotten multiple letters thanking the city for helping with that, and the lifeguards do just such a nice job with it. I mean, it's great. Any other resolutions to remove, council? Not that we didn't remove any, but
From the consent agenda?
from the consent
I just
agenda?
want to remove 191, if that's okay.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Roll call, do I have a motion?
I'll make
a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin? Yes. Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
And going back to 191-06, 2024, that's a resolution of appreciation of the County of Cape May.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments?
I just want to continue to, thank the county for everything they've done for our city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a resolution thanking the county. Of course, we just had the library opening and the Pittsburgh Avenue, Beach Avenue, Lafayette Street, seawall extension funding, and Safe Routes to School funding. So,
And we're tentatively scheduled to make that presentation to the county commissioners at their next meeting next Tuesday. So we're looking to go up and present that to them at their county commissioner meeting.
that's great. Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion on, we did make a
Yep,
motion.
we have a motion and second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Councilmember McDade,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Millick.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the added resolutions 19406, 2024, a resolution approving employment agreement between the City of Cape May and Alexander Coulter, Fire Chief. Motion and second, and then some discussion.
This is 194, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
for Fire Chief.
Do I have a motion on 194?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
City Solicitor, could you give us the,
So I could just,
give us an outline if you would.
the question before was about salary. We'd have to address that anyway. But this is for a new contract for Alex Coulter, our fire chief. And the next one is Deputy Chief Eck and Chief Fashaw, our police chief. The two comments or two adjustments to the MOA that's before council, there's an update to salary here. The salary on the first one, which is Chief Coulter, will be $152,345 effective January 1, 2024, starting at the new term of the contract. The comment back following council's discussion, which I was able to speak with both gentlemen who were here and present, it's a point of clarification that the vacation leave provision will be preserved, the language in their current contracts, essentially that the vacation time from a period starting in June to Labor Day, basically the high season, will be coordinated and approved in advance by the city manager's office. It's going to be rare anyway, but that's pretty standard language in our contracts, and I don't think there was any intent to remove that. It was just a point of clarification, which both gentlemen confirmed. So that's the, any action on that would incorporate that language remaining in the ultimate MOA, which would be revised. It's not in there, but it will be in there if council takes action on that. And again, there's no confusion on that. Both gentlemen understand and agree to that. And Deputy Chief Eck, same contract period, 142,200. And for Chief Fashaw's contract, the starting salary effective July 1st will be 175. And I think every contract is unique, every circumstance is unique, and each position has unique duties and responsibilities. But I think the city manager was looking at, looking at the range within the county. All of these are well within the range in the county. And in some cases probably on the lower side of that. So I think city manager, I don't want to speak for city management, but I think that they're looking at this as a reasonable resolution of these, for these gentlemen.
Great, okay. And I'll repeat them again to make sure you hear it. The Chief Coulter is retro to January 1st, 2024, at 152,345. Deputy Chief Eck, retro to January 1, 142,200. And Chief Fashaw is effective July 1, I believe, is that right?
Yes.
July 1 at 175.
I would just like to make a comment. I think the approach to this was that market analysis was done. It was comparable to the peer group in the county. The salaries are commensurate with their peer group, experience, qualification, years of service. Any adjustments, anytime you do something from a salary and a wage standpoint, I think people want to go to percentages. And, sometimes that becomes a number that they hold on to. I don't think that's really what we should focus on. What we should focus on, as, from a personal perspective and from the public's perspective, is the value that these gentlemen bring to the city in their leadership, their years of service, and these salaries are commensurate with what their peers are being paid, locally. This is not a national, this is what they are being paid for, what the work they do in the city of Cape May. And I think that the other thing that we all need to remember is that this city is different. It's changed, it's evolved, and you want qualified experts here. If we had to go out and recruit one of these individuals into this position, it would probably cost us a lot more. And they'd have a learning curve and a startup that would take time for them to get to the level of the quality of the individual. So I personally was extremely comfortable with the proposals before us, and I'm very pleased that we as a council acted upon this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, council? We actually only have a motion on 194, is that
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on 194. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullock?
Yes.
Next, we have 195-06-2024, a resolution approving an employment agreement between the City of Cape May and Michael Eck, Deputy Fire Chief.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council?
Mayor, if I could just add something, just to follow up what Councilman McDade said about percentages, I think the initial percentage is not the one that you really talk about, because I think we needed to bring them into where we need. I think moving forward, they're all at a 3% per year increase. So I think that's, if you're going to look at a percentage, that would be the percentage you want to look at. I think the feeling was to treat them, that peer group, as a peer group, and bring them up into that market rate where they should be, and that's kind of how we approached the negotiations. I think that's kind of how they came into it, and I think we reached a happy, fair settlement.
Perfect.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you, City Manager. Any other questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullock?
Yes.
And 196-06-2024, resolution approving an employment agreement between the City of Cape May and Deacon Fashaw, Chief of Police.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullock?
Yes. I think I speak for everyone when I say congratulations, gentlemen, to each of you individually. Deputy Chief Eck, you do an absolutely fantastic job, not only in the fire department, but frankly, working with you. And I know Deputy Mayor on the fire station, getting everything together on the task force, you were excellent involvement in that. Obviously, same to you, Chief, and also on the OEM operations, you guys are second to none, really. So we're proud of the work that you do, and we can't thank you enough. I mean, we just had a public comment and really acknowledging that. Chief Fashaw, you and your department have done such an absolutely wonderful job for the city of Cape May. And of course, not just the city, Lower Township, Cape May Point, West Cape May. And I just want to say personally, particularly in regards to community outreach, your work with children and getting the positive ticket program and all those things that you guys do make a really big impact. And obviously, all of you help keep Cape May safe. So I know I speak for all of us when I say you have done a wonderful job, and we thank you for your leadership and your departments individually. On to new business. City Solicitor, any new business? Excuse me, do we have any old business?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Any old business, council? Any new business, City Solicitor?
Nothing tonight.
And there's still none? City Manager?
I just had one thing, just to remind, as part of the mitigation that we did on the St. John property, we had to develop a story map for the African-American experience. And I forget, I know I did some outreach on social media, but I forget if I made an announcement here. I just encourage everybody to go visit the city website and under the section for the city history And it is, I think it really turned out great. We had a subcommittee of residents and former residents that came together and really discussed a lot of the locations and what was going on, and really brought out, you know, and they told their story of their experience of here in Cape May City. And, you know, so it's entitled The Legacy of African American Heritage in Cape May. And it just goes through a lot of different things, and it really gives a bridge, and it's probably one of a kind in the state of New Jersey for a story map of a historic perspective of any kind, but definitely of describing the African American heritage. And I just encourage everybody, if you have a little bit of time, you know, you're sitting around, and you know, just take a look at it, because it's neat to look at, and I think you know, it was a very good thing for us to put forward for that. So take a look at it.
That's great. Thank you, City Manager. City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to encourage everyone to participate in the city's Independence Day Parade coming up on Saturday, July 6th at 1 p.m. The rain date is July 7th. There will be a red, white, and blue contest. You can decorate your golf cart, bike, baby carriage, and dog for a chance to win for second or third place prizes. You do have to register by June 30th, and we'll announce again as that gets closer, but come on out.
That's great. Council members, Deputy Mayor?
Since we're kind of on a celebration, a lot of great things are happening in the city. I want to continue. The Book Brigade was such a wonderful event that was put off. Shane Meyer did it. Councilmember Meyer, you did a fabulous job. And then the library opening, another great event. I want to invite everybody to come to the Beach Safety Committee celebration. It's going to be our third annual. It's going to highlight a lot of our first responders. It's going to be held at headquarters June 30th from 8:30 to 10:30. There's going to be demonstrations, rescues, things like that, you know, in conjunction with the lifeguards, firefighters, police. Food will be there. Entices a lot of people to come. So the only the rededication of Cove Pavilion, the work that DPW did, again, a celebration, because there's a lot of great things going on in the city. That was held, and that was unfortunately it rained, but it was a wonderful celebration of great craftsmanship and work from DPW. And then the last thing I want to bring up is Canal Festival, which is our nature center of Cape May. That's held on June 23rd. It's a fundraiser. They do so much for the kids in the city. So if you can mark it on your calendar, that's a great event as well. That's out at the Rutherford's house over on the canal, right over the West Cape May Bridge to your right. They'll have signs out. So.
That's great.
And
Thank you.
that's all. Thank you.
Councilmember McDade?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Councilmember Meyer?
I just want to continue about the Book Brigade. It was the biggest community-spirited event I've ever been to in Cape May. I was actually very emotional afterwards. The fact that all the nonprofits that I sent letters out to showed up, they had their shirts, they represented their organizations.
Very cool.
And the fact that the employees were there, thanks to Paul, and the firefighters were involved, and police. It was just an amazing event. And I remember right 10 minutes before, it was someone said it was like the Field of Dreams. We were building it, and we were hoping everybody was going to come, and they sure did come.
Stretched down. I know.
Right.
It turned out that it was the perfect number of people to participate.
And when we did the count, we estimate close to 1,000 people created that chain.
It's amazing.
We looked at it.
Yeah, so we had one person with 1 foot in one building and another person with a foot in the other building. And the fact that the kids were there and everybody was full of smiles, even though it was warm out there, I think it was just something that I hope happens again sometime in the future.
And I just would note,
I didn't expect it, but I realized when I was there that every single neighbor of mine, everybody around me was there.
That's really cool.
It was great standing in line, I'm sorry, Paul, because people were like, you're just talking to them.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, this is great, complete strangers just popping into a line, getting next to somebody. It was awesome.
and I talked to one of the firemen that were in the line, and he said that he participated in the original one, and his mom said, you got it, because he wasn't on duty at the day. So he came in and he brought his children to participate. So, I thought it was pretty unique that, that there were even people there that were at the original.
Very cool.
So they could say they participated in both of the book brigades.
And I'd like to just also add, if you haven't been to the new library yet, be sure to get there. Take your time, walk around. There's a lot to see. And I just want to compliment the mayor on his speech. It was excellent how you tied that all
Thank
in
you.
with Benjamin Franklin.
Thank
It's
you.
really well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councilman Yeager?
Yeah, I'll just want to do a quick update if I could, recalling that, we received a $200,000 grant earlier this year in order to do a safe streets and roads program plan, and we hired GPI. I may have talked about that in a previous meeting, but I just wanted to update you. GPI came back to us, to our bicycle and pedestrian safety advisory committee meeting. They were here last week, and they've put together a super extensive plan. It's pretty amazing. But they were here to actually get our input and find out the things that we think are most important. And it's a Cape Island thing. We had people from West Cape May Point, and we had the city manager, the mayor, and I'm sure I'm missing some other people that also attended the meeting. Thank everybody. They all had input. And again, it was our time to tell them what it is that we want done, and we look forward to having a pretty amazing plan not put in place, but a plan that we can hopefully get a grant to implement by the end of this year. So
That's great.
it's the latest.
Thank you, Councilman Yeager. I have nothing for this evening other than just thank you for all the hard work of the council members involved, especially in the library and the passing of the books. That was just a lot of fun. So great work, everybody. With that, I'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone. State your name and address for the record.
Joe Kearns, 123 Oregon Avenue in Nabilus. I want to report a situation that occurred on Saturday, June 15th, on the beach at Marker 23 Grand Avenue. We were sitting there with our family of about 15 people. There are other people still there, and a vehicle from Staggers was going about 30 miles an hour and came between two different people setups. And he was flying. It feels a lot faster when you're right next to them, but I would say it was about 30 miles an hour. We jumped up. We had two 2-year-olds and a 5-year-old with us. 10 minutes previous, they were playing exactly where he was. It was within 10 yards of our location and 10 yards of another location a little further up closer to the ocean. Most times we see them, they're on the other side closer to the promenade. He was not. There was a vehicle that was also was stuck, probably further down near the Shake Beach Shack.
Beach Shack, yep.
And so he went around him, and I'm assuming he figured, well, I'm not going to go up there. I'm going to just keep going because it's a lot easier where it's a little harder. So my son and I jumped up. We started following him. We said, well, let's go to the beach patrol, but they weren't there. Here he then stopped, probably another 100 yards down, and got out of his vehicle, went back, got his surfboard, and went down surfing. So I don't think it was even working at the time. It scared us. Kids started screaming, maybe because of our reaction of yelling. The other family was also yelling. I don't know why, and right now the sand up top there, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is very soft and very deep, and they're having trouble. So we called the police, since Beach Patrol wasn't there. The police came very quickly, very nice job, but they told us there was nothing they could do. They wrote up a report. You'll see the report. I have the number if you need to have that. They wrote up the report. Next day, I went to Beach Patrol and I told them what the situation was. They said, shouldn't have happened, but there's nothing we can do about it. One of them recommended that I come talk to you. So I was voluntold that I'm coming here today to talk to you and to let everyone know what the situation is. So 2 things. One, 40-plus years I was coming to the Cape May Beach, never saw that. Beach Patrol, absolutely, they need to be there. There's no question about that. When the Beach Patrol has to go out, we stay right by there. We grab the kids. Everybody knows what's going on. We don't know when these trucks are coming. The next day, I sat and looked at them as they were coming, and of course, we always had our eye out because we knew they could potentially be there. They were like they were in a foot of snow. They were swerving, and I don't know if they just don't know how to drive it, don't know how to drive in the snow, or whatever the situation is. They were going faster the next day than I had seen them previously, again, because I think they're afraid to stop, and if they go too slow, they're going to get stuck. I don't know who's responsible for that. I don't even know why they're there. They collect towels, and they go to each Steger station. For 40-plus years, they did that from the street. Can someone tell me why they do that now from the beach?
Well, I don't think anyone's going to answer that, because we don't know. Yeah, I don't, but I can tell you, I didn't even know you were coming this evening, and I wasn't told about that situation, but I can tell you as mayor, the city manager already informed me that there was an issue,
Okay.
and informed me that he would be making phone calls to the individuals involved. So I didn't even know you were coming, wasn't told anything more than the situation had arisen and that the city manager was already on top of it. So I just want you to know that he definitely has been making phone calls, and I'll let you speak for yourself, Paul, but.
I haven't had a chance to talk to him. We've played a little phone tag today, but I anticipate definitely talking to him before the week's end to reaffirm what his responsibilities are and his timeframes and when he can be on the beach and for what purposes.
Okay. I also have pictures.
I've talked with police. I have the report information. I have enough I need to do to talk with Mr. Staker.
All right. Thank you.
And believe me, we share in your
Yeah,
concern.
yeah, that's
As a father, I had, just by chance, on that Saturday, you can probably tell from my tan, I actually got to the beach, and I saw the truck that you were talking about that was stuck. And so we share in the concern. My kids were right there as well, and I saw when they were trying to get out, they were kind of going back and forth. So they have to be really careful. And there is no need, especially for the non-beach patrol vehicles, to be going anything over 5 to 8 miles an hour, so we're going to have those conversations for
To
sure.
be honest, I don't know if they can go 5 miles an hour in that sand today. the way that's-
I think what,
If you have a proper, you got to have the proper equipment,
vehicle.
proper
and the
vehicle,
proper
They don't-
tires.
proper
Because
training on how to drive, and
I'll say it publicly. I looked at the tires of the vehicle that was stuck, and they were almost not roadworthy. I mean, they were very bald. So there's no way that they were going to work on the beach. So, okay, thank you very much, sir. We
And
appreciate
my
it.
concern is for the future.
We understand.
Don't want to see
Absolutely.
anything happen.
thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
for letting
sir.
us know.
Anyone else, public comments this evening? Police chief?
Yes, sir. First off, I want to apologize to you. I did get your letter, and I think we've responded back to you. And I quickly informed the manager, who actually was getting calls as well. So I control the street, not the beach. However, it is in concern because it's a motor vehicle on the beach. So as soon as we make contact with Mr. Steger, we will do so. I believe you do have the option to sign a complaint as well, a motor vehicle complaint. I believe if you let us resolve it on our end first, I'll offer that to you now if you'd like to do so. You have my contact information. You can follow back through with that. But we will follow back with you once we're done with them. And there's got to be an explanation. The second vehicle that was stuck on the beach was not a Steger vehicle. I did receive a phone call from Billy Scott from Congress Hall, who runs the Beach Shack now. He said, quickly, my vehicle was stuck on the beach. We're sending people out to dig it out. We'll get it out as soon as possible. That vehicle was removed 25, 30 minutes later. So Steger going down the beach at that speed is definitely not warranted. It's something possibly we look at maybe going backwards and pulling that vehicle off the beach and going back to a low-speed gator or something like that, because there's no need for that, for the vehicle to be on there anymore. And to jump out and go surfing,
Well, especially not for the purpose, I mean, they're permitted under their concession agreement to be out there to service their concession, not to drive and park
not to go swimming or
for
surfing.
personal.
I think we look at that again as far as that,
Yeah.
the next year, as far as what type of vehicle can be used on the beach. What speed, we have LSVs that go 20 miles an hour on our streets, so we should have some type of gator that does the same. So I'm sure they have plenty of resources and fundings to do so. So we'll follow back through with that. I do and sincerely apologize for that, because a beachgoer lived here as long as, I have. I would not want you to be affronted like that with your family and scare people, because we're a very community beach. So I want to circle back real quick again, and I can speak for myself and the chiefs on our contracts and the process therein, how it went forward. I didn't work with Alex and Mike, but they worked along themselves. But we were in conversation during the conversation with the manager's office, who was speaking directly with mayor and council and Mr. Watson at the same time. The process was, I won't say seamless, but it was easier than it had been in the past. We were welcome to sit with the manager, at least communicate with him and talk about what we wanted. We were asked to present certain things and documentation that you guys would need, as far as, like Ms. McDade said, analyzation of other agencies, other police chiefs, other fire chiefs, and that was listened to. And I sincerely appreciate that. I can probably speak for them as well, that they appreciate it as well. So we appreciate moving forward on that and making things better for us. It's not about money for us. I can tell you the three of us have been together since West Cape May Fire Department. We do this for the love of the city and the cities and boroughs that we work in. We've been doing this for a long time. We come from very humble beginnings. It's not about money for us. Please understand that, and I think you all know that from us, because we're here. It was more just so about equaling with our peers and kind of equaling out, and that's what was demonstrated here, and we really appreciate that. Moving forward, there was a couple questions. I don't want to hold everybody here because try to get out of here. Park Mobile, we've been working with that. I've been speaking with several parking lot owners and people that have the parking lots. Ms. Sheehan had mentioned 3 or 4 meetings ago about the Cricket Club. You came down Columbia Avenue, you saw the Cricket Club had a Park Mobile sign. I called Kyle Kolkowitz and I said, hey, listen, what do you have going on there? He said, hey, we contacted Park Mobile ourselves, and we turn our parking lot on from the morning till 3 p.m. and allow people to park here. At 3 p.m., it's hours for the Cricket Club. Took that with interest, and I spoke to a couple other parking lots. I've spoken to the Ocean View, Nick, down at the Ocean View. He's got 45 parking spots right on beachfront. I'm like, Nick, trying to entertain them. So I did contact Park Mobile as well. There's a buy-in, there's a fee to allow a private parking lot to do so. It's about $1,000 to do so, but look at the numbers I think they would gain, and it's about 55 cents per spot when the person parks there, but they can schedule the amount of, it doesn't have to be restricted on our end.
And I talked to Kyle also, or through one of his representatives, but he mainly wanted to do it because he was showing up to open up the Cricket Club at 4 o'clock, and there was like 8 or 9 cars in his spots, and he's like, how do I get rid of these cars? So instead of, you'll see all different, like I know Sturdy Bank and Colliers, they pay somebody to kind of sit at their lot and kind of shoo people away. He didn't have that. So this was kind of his solution to kind of, but I think it's also an advantage to provide, what we vitally need is, this is kind of an alternative way for places that can provide
Definitely.
parking in their off hours that they're not. It's kind of like what we're talking about, providing parking in an area that when we're not using it.
Yeah, I had spoken to Greg Coffey. There's an association issue with Bank Street, but I said, hey, you got 60-something spots here. So as I'm out there talking to people and business owners, I do mention it and try to get ahead of it to create more parking as far as that. In relation to this parking lot here, once the fire department moved back, they have a designated area, which I don't even know that that's enough for them to park. However, what I've been finding on my nights coming back through town is People from Victorian Towers, guests and visitors have been sliding over here. The Mason Blue, is it? The Mason Blue, they're staying here. So the deputy city manager had asked me the same thing, to make contact with them. So what I've been doing is coming in every couple of nights, monitoring who's in the parking lot. Now I can properly address, which used to be the Hugh House, but Mason Blue, and tell them basically, after we get the proper signage up on both ends of the parking lot, because the one sign out here is kind of faded. So when proper signage up, and we're going to send people out nightly to do it. The problem is we're going to probably bump into some locals and ticket some locals initially. We do try to check the tags first through our system called Clear and make phone calls and do that, but it's time consuming. So the more time I spend here, or the staff is not elsewhere. So we're going to work on that. Parking has always been a problem in this parking lot, but we'll work on that as well. We also want to make mention of a grant we have received from the Wawa Foundation, the Hero Foundation. I was asked at the library opening where the money came from for the Hero car. We had it wrapped. I talked to the manager on that. I sent some information to mayor and council on the lead car, and that project was funded by the Kennedy family and also Wawa. It was a small project to enhance education for the designated driver program and also our lead program. We are going to be I contacted Casey at the convention hall today, and Mr. Elliott would like to do a unveiling of the Hero car, but he wants mayor and council to be there if possible, or members of, to do so. I mentioned, or Casey had mentioned, maybe at Harbor Fest, have the vehicle displayed and do an unveiling there, or have it be the lead vehicle for your 4th of July parade. The Elliott family is very, very appreciative of what we did for them, and this vehicle is among other vehicles in the country, or at least in New Jersey, that run this program. So I'm proud to have been a part of that, and I appreciate you guys allowing me to do that. We don't usually wrap vehicles and make bullet boards, but this is a very important bulletin board. So I'll let you know when that date's going to be, if it's going to be at Harbor Fest or at the beginning of the parade. The National Night Out, August 6th, coming up. We have that on the beachfront with the help of the manager's office and mayor and council, and some local businesses that offer some money to make the program work. It's a great event. Everyone sees it. Everybody knows it. August 6th from 5:30 to 8:30, along with, I mentioned, Harbor Fest. Harbor Fest is the 29th coming up. We've had that years ago. It's coming back now. It's a city-run project, so I encourage everyone to come and visit. We're going to have about 70 vendors there that day. Hopefully the weather presents itself well, but the bubble we asked to hold. Talked about the unveiling. We are still working on the bid project for the cameras, working with the manager's office. We had to renegotiate. We're going to renegotiate 2 of the bids for the camera project for Convention Hall, Public Works, and this building. The staff in this building specifically had asked to beef up security here for the staff. We've had a couple walk-ins. Some people on the second floor just walking in offices unbeknownst and unannounced. We can't have that. So working along with Aaron and the other staff and the other department heads in this building, along with Casey at Convention Hall and Eric over at Public Works, we are going to be meeting with both vendors and negotiate a better price for the project to kind of slim it down and get this building locked down, hopefully by, I don't want to put a date, but September, October, get it all locked down and more cameras into this building. Also want to acknowledge Tim Hughes. He's retired from us now. He was in our code enforcement. He's decided to move on. Tim had a long career in the Coast Guard and came to us after that retirement. I think it was, he should have taken some time off in between that to breathe and live and enjoy time, because he's been just working, his entire life, Coast Guard into here. So Tim did a lot of work for us, just like Jeff McCart did prior to. And I want to acknowledge his efforts in the code enforcement section of our city. It's sometimes an area that doesn't get acknowledged a lot because they kind of do the dirty work. They're always giving out notices. They're telling people, hey, you're doing wrong. And, they don't get a lot of pats on the back like the firehouse and police department, but they're doing a job that we necessarily need. So I want to acknowledge Tim for his accomplishments and his time here with us. 3 more things. Bikes, dogs, and on the mall. I've been working with the manager. I got a complaint from some people and Ms. McDade as far as where are we at with our enforcement? Where are we at with making it a better site and visitation to the boardwalk and the mall? We're working on that. I got to get some more messages out. I talked to the manager now today about how I would deliver that on social media. I don't want to necessarily tell people, hey, you can't have your dog in the mall, but if it's a service animal, you can, because they're just going to use that excuse, because that's the excuse we use. We get everyone, and I'm not saying that there's not service animals, but there's criteria for that service animal, and I want to put that out there. and hopefully try to get the message out that, because apparently they're not reading the signs on the mall. They're clearly written signs on the mall and the boardwalk that say you can't do it. But also, we have 5 more officers coming out before 4th of July. So not that we're short. We have we have the 5 Class 1s that are working now, and we'll have a total of 9 Class 2s. So we'll get the other 5 out. And with that said, the county is running short with Class 2s and seasonal officers. Usually there's 85 to 110 in the academy. There's 34 right now. That's not just for Cape May. That's for Wildwood, North Wildwood, everybody, Ocean City. So the draw for being a police officer has kind of dried up a little bit, but we're working on that. So we're going to be staffed as best we can with your help and with your financial support through our budget. So also, I want to acknowledge, too, I had 2 officers that had losses in their families in the last day or so. Derek Murphy lost his brother yesterday to a horrible motorcycle accident. He's one of our sergeants. And Mike McMahon lost his mother over the weekend. So we're just kind of wrapping our arms around the guys and make sure they're okay and working with them. So, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you guys do for us, and we'll continue doing the work we do for you and for this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Jules Rouse, 1010 New York Avenue. Just a couple little things that I'd like to inquire about. The status, Paul's back. The Delaware Avenue and Wilmington Avenue Army Corps projects, they're like 10 years old or older.
Yeah,
Where do we stand?
the last update, because this is a county project, last update I'd gotten was they were at, and it's really a county project as a sponsor from the Army Corps project, so it's really an Army Corps project. They were about 80% plans done back in the fall. I haven't gotten an update. I can find out and do some more research, but not being our primary project, it's kind of doesn't hit my tickler all the time. So I'll look into it.
Every time I go down Delaware Avenue, I look at how it's eroding underneath it's now up to underneath the paved cartway.
That's a good photograph to send to them as an inquiry. You know, I think we should. I can just add to what the city manager said. When I got the last update, to be blunt, I wasn't encouraged.
Yeah,
Well-
yeah, I think the last one that they committed to was this September, and then I heard that date's slipping, that September may not be happening. Didn't know reason why, but
I'll find out and I'll have an update for
But
council
I
at the
think,
next
I
meeting.
think a photo like that for an inquiry is a good.
And when you look at the curve at Beach and Wilmington, it's obvious that would certainly be an asset. I mean, anybody that's been here for a few years knows that when there's a hurricane hit us or a big northeaster, that's where it comes into the city.
Yep.
And if you followed what NOAA is predicting for this year,
Yep.
that would be a nice asset to have completed.
Absolutely.
I'd like to make a comment about Harbor View, if I may. I was around here when they did that project, and there was a lot of discussion because it involved not just that particular piece of ground, but the estates next door. There was a lot of discussion. My understanding, and I don't have any idea of the details, but I understand there were agreements made that the Harbor View Park would not have any active recreation.
I think you're correct about that.
And the proposed project has none.
And there is no intention to, so.
Well, there's bocce ball.
We're taking that out. I just had a conversation with Mr. Orlando earlier.
By my count, there's roughly 160 seats in that project as it's now laid out. I don't understand the need for 160 seats. I make regular visits there because I like to sit and have a lunch and look out over the water. So I've been there many times, actually. I also wonder, since we're going to be changing, or the program is to change it, how does that affect our Rossi allocation? Because we're going to have more impervious surface.
The Rossi doesn't look at the impervious coverage, it just whether or not it's used for recreation or not.
Okay,
Yeah, that doesn't have an impact.
won't this project require DEP approval?
We're looking at that. We're trying to make sure that it doesn't. We were tentatively proposing to have a covered, somebody to ask for a covered pavilion out, I'll say, on the boardwalk deck that's kind of right on the water's edge. If we added that, that probably would require a DEP permit, but just the rest of the work on there would not require a permit.
All right. And the last one is, we've had a lot of discussion about capital projects. Not one word about a desal plant. That's an essential, ladies and gentlemen. We need to move forward, because that's going to be, if they started today, it's 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So I raised that question, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to just add, when it comes to Delaware Avenue over there by the Coast Guard base, I think there's also a sewer line that goes underneath that road, which I think is important to also mention. For those who don't know, when I was a kid, there used to be patches of woods between the harbor and Delaware Avenue I used to play in, and it's eroded, 30 feet since then? So I think it's a major concern.
Any other public comment this evening?
Real quick. Roz Johnson, 826 Lafayette Street. Thank you so much for Lafayette Park. Thank you so much for the Book Brigade. It was amazing. I'm here representing some residents who had an idea about parking in relation to the library. They were wondering if it would ever be possible that when you get your ticket to go into the Acme parking lot, that gives you 30 minutes of parking at the Acme parking lot. If you went to the library and got like a stamp, and then, so you could stay an hour, it proved like you were at the library, would that be possible?
Well, obviously, maybe not obviously, but the Acme is a private lot. We don't,
Okay.
we don't own it.
Right.
But let me give you a quick update on parking. The current library, I believe, has 5 to 6 parking spots.
Right.
Not the current library, the previous
old-
library.
Yeah.
We're looking at adding 7 parking spaces here in City Hall. 8 new, okay. So we're looking at 8 new parking spaces, most of which is actually close to the library along here. The way we're looking at that is, if you come in the street between the firehouse and the library and you look straight down, where you see that row of police cars,
Right.
that actually goes all the way down to the library, and we kind of have just some unmaintained grassy areas. We're looking at putting in, retaining wall, and a nice one, not anything great, but a nice retaining wall, and then continuing that parking for 8 more spaces, including handicap spaces, okay?
Oh, wow.
So number one, right away, we're 2 or 3 parking spaces more than the existing library. I know that we're going to have more people coming to this one. The next spot that we're looking is also the AME Church, next to the old CCA building, which now CCA has their new home in the library. We'd like to make that, and Paul just showed that, but 9 new spaces there? Yeah, close to 9 spaces there. And further, we're looking at, now this is a little further down the line, but looking at working with the Housing Authority on Osborne Court, is that court, or, there's 2 Osbornes.
Yeah, the Osborne, it runs between the AME Church and Sturdy Savings Bank. The
That little
runs to
road
the backside
between-
of
Okay.
public
Yeah.
housing.
Having some parking along that street, pull-in parking. So that one's further down the road, but I will say this fall, we're hoping to have 9 new parking spaces next to the AME Church, 8 new parking spaces here. So
Yeah.
it does,
St. John Street. St. John Street.
yeah, well, that's a good point. St. John's, we're hoping to have some spaces as part of Lafayette Street Park, which looks like it's finally moving a little bit. That we are looking at some major parking. So we all know
Right.
you go outside right now, you might not have a parking spot. But
Right.
we know that, and we know that the library is going to be an issue, especially for this summer, but I'm hoping that we have a good solution by the end of this summer. Unfortunately, the end of the summer, but, you know.
So is that something that could be brought up to the owners of Acme, or no, not really?
We could, I don't want to say
Yeah,
publicly,
no,
but
I'm
we're
just
going to,
saying-
we're going to try. We will
Yeah.
try that,
Okay,
absolutely.
great. Okay, thank you.
I'm not too hopeful, but I
No,
will
no,
try.
That's okay,
Yes.
just a question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia Avenue. I just want to follow up on Deacon with that Park Mobile and these private areas. I thought it was mentioned too at one of the meetings, a couple of meetings ago, about them requiring permits. I guess that's the city clerk's question, no.
They should be obtaining a mercantile license if they have for-profit parking. So I can get together with the chief and we can see who you've identified and make sure that they're all in compliance with that.
Okay. My other question is, we were talking about the new Franklin Street Library, and I read in the paper, the cost is at $11 million. And I know that the city we had went out for grants, and the grants were supposed to be paid towards that $11 million, and that the council had made a statement, that they were not going to go above $2 million on your being paid on your part of it. Is that still in effect, that you're not going to go above $2 million for what you're going to contribute to that project?
From talking with the construction manager of the project, we're still within our $2 million, yes.
Okay, just making sure. Also, with that Franklin Street School, before the construction began, the lead count was extremely high, and there we've been talking about lead and how dangerous it is to children. And that library, their children are going to be attending there, and that the lead was very high before the construction, and then they went through lead testing afterwards, which were little borderline, some of them were. And my question is, are we going to continue, because I think a statement was made before that, yearly we are going to test for lead in that building.
It's a county building, and you'd have to ask them, but all the
But
lead
it is
testing
still
was...
the city's building, and we're still responsible.
Yes.
All the lead testing was done, and the building is certified as lead-free. There's no detected lead at this point. from the
There
tests.
isn't, but, I mean, if you read the report, I'm not going to get into that. But my question moving forward is, are we, as a city, it's still our building, and we want to keep our residents safe, and if you're saying that it's for the county, I'll go talk to the county. That, it doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to see where the city stood on this.
Yeah. I don't know the answers. I don't want to, make anything up. I think my understanding of it was that it did pass and everything was good. So to test after that, hey, we're asking the residents to test their rental properties.
That's my point. You're asking
So
residents to test, and,
I would fully support that would continue, and I would hope that it would. I
Yeah.
think that it will, but
If-
I just don't know the answer.
Yeah.
For that context, if there's for the ordinance that we just did tonight, if there's a presentation of a lead-free certificate, then you don't have to do those inspections anymore.
Okay.
Lead-free.
it's not lead-free.
Okay, but
It's not lead-free.
just stated that that's what you certified.
No, it said that the counts were lower than the norm, is all that it said. It's not lead-free.
We're not going to spitball this
Yeah,
right
no, I'm just
now,
saying,
you
but
know?
just, that's fine, and I'll talk to Kevin Lair maybe. I just want to make sure that we're not exposing children to the lead that's in the building, that's all, if there is any lead.
Good, thank you. Any other public comment this evening? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, everybody. It's exactly 5 o'clock. Have a wonderful evening.